down there?
It's me, Nicole.
Hi, we're North Metro Paranormal. My name's Terry.
My name's Nicole.
And I'm TJ, and this is the Spooky Skoogs podcast. Now, I know today we said we were going to have Ryan with us, and we were going to talk about the Grant House a little bit, but due to Ryan's job and how crazy the world is right now, he was unable to come home. But we do have Grandma Coco in the house.
Hello, I am here.
Yeah, and we decided to go from Rolling Hills of last week we used to go down to the river. We used to call it down by the river all the time, and it was right next to the Anoka Insane Asylum. So we thought we'd talk about the Anoka Asylum, plus our experiences down there at the river. We never really investigated inside, but we did get a lot of activity down there. So we thought we'd go from one insane asylum to another.
Because our last episode was on Rolling Hills, and we thought we'd stay right on topic there. We're also going to talk a little bit about our old house.
Yes, the Ramsey house.
That we were investigating the river quite a bit.
Whether we brought something home or there was something there already, we don't know. I have heard rumors that whole area up in that area. I don't want to give any addresses out, but
who knows if something could have been there and we didn't even start seeing it until we were doing all this investigating.
Yeah, we could have opened up something.
We might have been a little more open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah. So, might as well start with the history of the insane asylum, because it's pretty fascinating. It's more fun than when we look into it later. All of a sudden, some of the old rumors make sense to us that we've heard.
We went there for years. I don't think we ever actually looked up. There's stories. We lived in Anoka. I live right across the street from it now. But we hear all these stories and lore about it, but I don't know if we ever actually looked into every detail and the history of it. It's been around for a really long time.
Yeah, just the tunnel system alone, I think, is what got us down there. Everybody talking about how the tunnels are haunted.
Right.
All right.
We'll talk about that.
All right, you ready?
Sure.
For the history? All right, history of Anoka State Hospital. It established in 1900, the Anoka State Hospital has a storied and often somber history, transitioning from a custodial asylum for the incurable insane to a modern regional treatment center. Built to alleviate overcrowding in other state institutions, it opened in March of 1900 as the first state asylum for the insane. The first 100 residents were men transferred from the St. Peter State Hospital, and women started going there in 1906. From 1909 to 1925, the facility served exclusively female transfer patients. There were a couple of name changes. In 1919, it renamed Anoka State Asylum. And then in 1937, it renamed Anoka State Hospital. And then in 1985, it renamed Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center. It also was a tuberculosis treatment. From 1948 to 1967, the hospital served as the primary tuberculosis treatment center for mentally ill patients in Minnesota. The original campus closed in 1999 when patients were moved to a new secure facility nearby, which that's right on the ground still, correct?
Yeah, it's actually on the same property, I believe. It's just a little farther over to 7th Street, if anybody knows where the Anoka is. The main building, you go into it by 7th Street now instead of coming up the middle of town.
So the cottage plan, unlike massive Kirkbride structures of the era, Anoka was built using a cottage layout designed to feel less institutional.
I looked that up and realized it was just like Rolling Hills. So it was the Rolling Hills design was a Kirkbride design. And here's what they have written down is a Kirkbride Asylum is a 19th century mental institution designed by Thomas Story Kirkbride to provide moral treatment through architectural characterized by central administration building, the long V-shaped wings. When you look at the Rolling Hills, the two come straight out at you. And then there's one, if you take a helicopter view, one goes straight back. So that way everybody gets more light. Every room has an outdoor view. They're supposed to be in the rural area, fresh air, and surrounding farmland, aiming to rehabilitate patients, like exactly Rolling Hills. I just thought that was fascinating that actually looking into some history, I ran across something to verify the other, which maybe I'm getting a little better at the history research.
Looking up the history. It's really cool to understand.
And the more you dig, the more you're going, oh yeah, that makes sense. I
like the more places we dig into too, we'll find a lot of similarities and more the era type history that all kind of connects like that.
So then there's tunnels. There's a tunnel system. So a system of underground tunnels connected the building to facilitate the transportation of patients and supplies, a feature that was fueled many local legends and paranormal claims. The network, roughly a mile long, was built starting in 1895 to connect the hospital's cottages, administration building, and auditorium. Staff uses cement hallways to move patients between buildings away from public view and to transport meals, laundry, and medical supplies, especially during harsh Minnesota winters. There's urban legends. The tunnels are central to the hospital's reputation as one of Minnesota's most haunted locations. There's escape and tragedy. Local lore suggests patients attempting to escape often became lost. In the maze-like tunnels, darker legends claim some committed suicide within the system. So there was also a murder. So there was a neighbor that was murdered. A patient escaped using a stolen key card, broke into a nearby home, and she was murdered, causing community outrage and demands for improved security. And in paranormal reports, there was urban explorers and former staff reports as footsteps, whispers, laughter, shadow figures, and unexplained cold spots in the tunnels. There was visual remnants. Illegal explorers described old wheelchairs, rusted restraint device, and possible fingernail marks or messages etched onto the concrete walls.
A friend of mine that was in one of the buildings, not illegally, they were there for a reason, but the guy that was running, they were going through a class there. He said that upstairs they still had the chair that they would sit in and give them lobotomies and stuff in. So I thought that was pretty crazy that it was still there. And that was probably 20 years. Yeah, and the tunnels, like we were talking about earlier, that's the reason we went down there. We started hearing all the stories of the tunnels. Actually, a guy I worked with, a babysitter of his, somebody that watched his kids, they worked there at night, and they said that she went down in the tunnels. She felt something on her neck and a whisper in her ear. She was done. She never went back. She said, I'm never going back in the tunnels. I don't care what they ask me. So some of those folklore and stories seem to be coming around everywhere. It's not that we're actually here to hear some of it before we even read about it.
Speaking of the tunnels, we would go down to what we called the door, and you'd go down there. Sometimes you go down there and you would get chills on your way down there for no reason. You'd just be like, well, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the river's high and there's a bunch of energy going on. Or sometimes you walk down there and you feel literally nothing.
That happened a lot down there. You kind of tell in the first half an hour.
We went down there so much we could tell almost, as soon as we got to the door, we'd decide, is this going to be a longer night or a shorter night?
Yeah, I remember going there one time, not with you guys, but Mark, Jared, and we went down there and noticed there was, for some reason, there had to be at least 15 deer standing on the grounds in that area. I don't know what they were doing there, but it just felt like whatever they were doing there I don't think there was going to be any activity that night. It just felt really light.
Yeah, which is funny because a lot of people think that it was a rumor or something about the little cat farm down there. But
oh, yeah.
We can confirm that there was like 15, 20, maybe 30 cats.
Oh, easily 30.
Down there. We hardly ever saw them. We're down there all the time.
There was two that were always close to the door, what we called the door, on the path. We maybe 30 yards down, there was two that lived in a little hole down there. And I've seen them at least once a month. I'd see them down there all year round.
Yeah.
And you ever go into where the cats were?
I think we walked over there during the daytime one time.
It was so weird. I know I went in there with a friend of mine from work. We went in inside and there was a tree in the center. I don't think Hollywood could have made it. It almost looked fake because it was almost, the tree was like an umbrella, like a perfect round dome. And inside there, people around the neighborhood left little boxes for the cats to live in. And they had dishes out there. And sometimes you'd see food. They were going down there feeding them. I think the city was actually getting mad, but
yeah,
there was a whole community of cats living there. It was weird.
Well, just speaking of wildlife, with the deer. Yeah, well, you get down there, we saw all those deer there, and you're like, oh, this is not going to be very active. They don't even seem to care that we're here. And then you got the cats, which we barely ever saw, but apparently they weren't that far from the door.
Actually, they're a little farther, what I'd call south, almost where you drive in at. Have you ever driven in from the south from downtown Anoka? And if you park when you
And that
do
parking lot right
parking
there,
lot
that
that's-
small one.
Yeah, which they're going to get rid of that generator place, that building that was right there. By
Yeah,
the
that's what I was thinking. That
but
way.
it was still south of that.
Okay.
Not a lot, but a good block and a half. Like it was a way down there.
We wouldn't really. So the door is actually built into the walking path. It's where the tunnels come out at the river where they used to get supplies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it was used for So the funny sad part is when the river would go up high, they had to flood the tunnels
Right.
because it would be above the door. Sometimes you couldn't go on the platform.
Yeah.
We do have pictures. I'll repost some pictures from back in the day on Facebook, and I don't know if you're gonna put them on the Instagram.
I think we might have some on there already, but we could.
I like
put
to
them all
repost
together.
it when we talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And we were just, would they spray paint on the door that went detrimental solace?
Yeah, I mean there was different messages there every month. It seemed the city would come paint over the door and reseal it because people would try to break in, and then someone else would come by and put a different message on there or
This was like
satanic
STEM
imagery. And
But
yeah, well there was some that looked really.
That was actually, I thought it was quite clever, actually. A detrimental solace.
Yeah, I
really.
do remember that. It was big red one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I don't know, it seemed like every time we
That
went
was
down
there for
there,
a long time.
someone was trying to break into that door.
Yeah.
It's all bent up or.
And then eventually they bricked it up. And I
Yeah.
got a picture of that when we were at the Anoka County Fair. The Anoka County Fair is actually right across from where the door is. And I took a picture of it. I think I posted that, I don't know, 5-6 years ago on Facebook saying end of an era.
Yeah.
Because it was just felt sad. It was all sealed up.
We had three main spots we always hit. We walked the long walkway from 7th where we would park.
Yep. Out straight in, right past where they'd get the salt for the city.
Yeah. And then we would typically walk through the snow up to the path and take a left. And we'd always stop and acknowledge the tree.
Is that the tree that Vance was sitting at? That big tree?
I did.
He was sitting on
Oh.
it? Was that,
When I put them up on the.
yeah. Was
I
that the
did have
same
them
tree?
Sitting up in it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was the same
They
tree.
have a bench right there, a new bench now.
Really? I haven't
Yeah.
been down there in a while.
Yep, there's a new bench right in front of it. Yeah, we'd stop at the tree. Again, we heard a lot of things from the lore, and what we had heard was a little girl and boy had passed away down there from an escape patient. Never been confirmed, never in the news
Cannot
articles.
find anything on that at
It's
all.
just-
I just want to confirm before we,
Right.
some
But
of them might
That's
have been-
why we sat at the tree. We didn't know for sure, but it did seem like every time we were communicating at the tree, we bring a toy. We'd always bring a toy and leave a toy on the tree, whether the city probably kept grabbing it going, what the hell?
What's wrong with these people?
Yeah. And then we'd always sit there and talk at the tree. And sometimes if it was pitch black, we didn't have if there was no snow for the moon to reflect off of, or if there was no moon, and some nights you'd walk down there and it's just pitch black.
Oh yeah, when there was no moon at all.
Those are some of the
Or
best
cloudy.
nights.
Yeah,
I remember you literally called me at mom's house and you called me and go, it was pretty dark out. Do you want to go?
Yeah, it didn't take much. I mean, we were going 3 to 8 times a month. It seemed like we go twice on a weekend when you closed. And it was like, I got nothing better to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You guys thought that if you ever questioned his parenting in previous episodes, we were talking about me being a teenager out with him at till 3-4 a.m. We were also trespassing.
Yeah, and running from the cops.
The cops would patrol the path.
So it is a state park there, and they do close at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you question your parenting skills when you're jumping into the woods. Say, be quiet, let them go by. But honestly, we're not trying to do anything. If we're not hurting anything, we're not spray painting the walls. We just don't want to go home.
Yeah.
And that's all they're going to tell us. What are you doing down here? Because we've had that before. Oh, we were ghost hunting. And they don't even blink an eye. They go, oh, well, the park's closed. You got to go.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
Yeah, and then there's the stairs. We'd walk down those stairs they're kind of hidden in the woods actually, but they go down.
Yeah, you don't know where they're at.
It's hard to find them.
Yep.
Depending on the year, actually. I mean, if it's winter, there's less brush, but
Right. Easier to find in the winter or the fall because all the leaves are gone. But yeah, middle of summer.
yeah, good luck. You'll walk right by it
Yeah,
3
you'll walk
times.
right-
Was that more north of the tunnel? I'm just trying to picture
Yes.
because I think I've been down there once. This is when I haven't started.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We would have passed that on our way to, when we were on the bikes, is that the time you're thinking?
Yeah.
I didn't even know where the stairs were at that time. So,
Okay.
but yeah, you know where we parked on 7th Street and said we'd cut right through there, almost directly straight. If you
Okay.
went
So
straight into the window.
Closer to the school. Is the high school?
Yeah, but
that area?
not
Okay.
that much. Probably
Okay.
almost.
Do you know where the door?
Yeah. Yep.
If you went away from the building down the path and around like the corner into the woods more,
Yep.
it's like 5 feet around that corner,
Okay.
but almost no one can
Really
see it.
close to the 2 big trees.
Okay.
That's which I keep forgetting about. Those trees are huge. I got a picture of
they're
Vance. I'm
huge.
like, Vance, stand in front of it so people see how big this tree really is. It would take at least 3 of us to put our arms around them. We all stood around in a circle. They're pretty cool. Almost feels like the entrance. There's one on each side.
Yeah.
And they're huge. Almost like you're entering the woods like in the Wizard of Oz, you know.
Well, and on those pitch black nights, it did feel like you were entering like a
It
different.
just felt creepier in there too.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Some nights we'd go down to that bench and it would be calm.
Yep.
You would just feel it relax down there by the water. And then other nights you'd get halfway down the stairs, you go, the hell was that grabbing my leg?
That was your dad asking.
Yeah.
Did you have any experiences when you guys were down there?
We've seen shadow figures. You used to see them all the time, and I
A lot of shadow figures.
kind of questioning what he's looking at, because when you're walking on the path, you're seeing trees that are close to you and farther away. And as you're moving, the closer ones are going by faster than the ones that are farther away. I don't know if that makes sense, and I thought maybe you were seeing something like that. But then one night we were walking down the path and this thing, whatever the hell it was, poked its head out. It was completely dark. And I stopped him with my hand and I put it over his chest and I stopped and I pointed directly and I said, right there. And then whatever it was did it again. There was nowhere for this thing to go. It was getting towards fall. There's a lot of leaves on the ground and you can hear field running around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's no way we went pretty fast towards where that tree was. And it was directly straight at us almost. It was on the right side,
Yep.
but it was practically straight in front of us. We went down there and there was nowhere to go because it's all woods. It goes straight down the hill to the river from there. It's probably a 20-foot drop.
It felt bigger when we were jumping down it, but yeah.
We'll pick the thorns out later.
Yeah. Scratches all on our backs and sides, trying to find the recorder in the dark.
Actually, I saw it, and then you were telling me about it later. You were describing to me what I saw. We were down what we called the bench. There's the stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs, there's a bench. And we were sitting there, and I'm looking at this thing, and I thought it was an elemental. Actually, our sound guy Luke was there that night. I kept looking at it, and I didn't know what to think of it. At the time, I didn't think elemental. I thought, what the hell is this thing? And then I didn't want to look away because I didn't want to lose what I was looking at. But then I would look away. I go back and see it again. It was like it was just sitting with us.
Yeah. It was at the end of the bench, right?
Yeah, but in the weeds a little bit.
Yep.
Like at the end, because it was a little L shape.
Yep.
Very small L. And then it would have been maybe 3 feet over, just sitting in the weeds.
Yep.
Maybe 3 feet tall.
Yep. I do remember this.
Oh, excuse me. And yeah, it was, I don't even know why I didn't bring it up. I think I was afraid to say, hey, look at that. But then me and Luke took off and went somewhere else. That's why people say when they see Bigfoot, oh, they would have took a picture. I'm not so sure. Your mind is so busy wrapping your head around what the hell you're looking at.
You're trying to rationalize what you're seeing. Is it real? Is my mind playing tricks on me? It's dark. Yeah. And to be fair, you probably didn't say anything because back in those days, there's probably hours and hours of recordings of me and you bickering back and forth on you saw that. No, you didn't.
Yeah. And I walked away and then I took Luke with me that time. I think it was you and Cody or Ryan was with us. Probably Ryan.
One of the two, yeah.
Probably Ryan. And we took off. We went down the path for a little bit and then we came back and we met you guys at the top where the path is.
Yep.
At the top of the stairs. And you started telling me about what you were looking at. I'm like, holy crap, that's exactly what I was looking at. I couldn't believe that nobody else. To me, I couldn't believe nobody else could see this thing. Why is anybody else bringing it up?
Yeah, I don't think Ryan said he didn't see anything. And he's typically one to agree with you, even if he doesn't really see it sometimes.
Right. But
Back then, anyway, we were 15, 16, maybe.
I don't even know if you guys are driving yet. Well, you weren't driving when you first went down there.
Yeah.
When I tell people what I was looking at, it was almost like if you took back in the school days when you'd take your eraser, you'd have a black notebook and you'd make something with the negative, you'd actually erase the black off of it. It was like this little thing crouching down, just sitting there with us. I don't know. What's that thing from, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings? what's that? Dobie is his name. Almost kind of like that. Just looked like he had a round head. Is that what it is?
That's Harry Potter. Dobie.
Oh, maybe it
Dobie
is.
the house elf.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay.
That's Harry Potter.
That's embarrassing. Since I just listened to
He just brought that up.
I just listened to the Sorcerer's Stone just to clean the palate. I listened to the book. Hey, either talking to the mic.
But yeah, I do, everyone's got to keep in mind, I don't know how many years ago this was. This is 18 years ago. And it's hard to recant everything, but this one sticks in my mind. I mean, we were down there so often, but there's probably so many things that we could talk about if we could remember it. If we heard like a little bit of recording, I bet it would flash back like that. But off the top of our heads right now, there are things that stood out down there. And we did take into account that we're outside, where, you're always verifying that it wasn't an animal or it wasn't something scurrying.
You did have we were sitting there listening to something, go, what's that?
Yeah.
And this thing's like moving around in the weeds. And, our first thing is, oh, it's a ghost walking through the leaves, and then we turn around and I turn the flashlight over there. There was a opossum sitting right. It was like, 3 feet behind you, just sitting there.
Yeah. We also down there had a beaver come run up.
We scared him. Yeah.
Right past.
Freaked him out.
Freaked me out.
Yeah. There was plenty of stuff down there. It was always fun though. We got recordings when we went between the door and the benches, a little closer to the benches. There was this water inlet that was maybe 4 or 5 feet high. It was all cement. I'm not sure even where it went. And when the water raised, I don't know where it must have went into I don't want to say our sewer system, but I don't know where it went. Went in towards the utility buildings. We went over there and we were talking. And I had a recorder, and the word secret came out clear. I remember showing that at the Grant House to somebody else. People that weren't even with us said they clearly heard that, and they were standing upstairs when I played it on the recorder. And then it said, get out. But it wasn't until you said you were down below me. So I'm standing on top of this thing. So I'm at least 5 feet above you. The recorder's probably 6 feet above you, and you're still maybe 10 feet out. And you can hear your distance. And the EVPs almost sound like they were studio put in, because they were like right there. And then it said, get out, like that. And was it just before you said it or just after? No, it was before I heard the EVP, which I didn't hear till later. You said, oh, I just get the weirdest feeling that I shouldn't be here and I got to get out of here. I'm rolling my eyes going, okay, Mr. Fields again.
Yep, that's how it went.
And then, it took me a few times to go on, I'm starting to find evidence around him saying stuff like this. So that was another incredible moment, I think, for us. Other than when we went down there with Polar Bear, Ryan's friend from school.
Yeah, Polar Bear was visiting from Alaska for like a semester or something. I can't remember why. Ryan was close with him because he wrestled. I didn't know him that well. He was in our hangout group.
His real name Stefan?
Stefan, something like that. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I really hung out with him like maybe 3 times. And
like a nice kid. I don't know.
Yeah, he was super nice. I just didn't really know him. We're always in the wrestling room. We were always doing something. He just came with because we were getting to know him pretty good. And he claimed that he was a sensitive, or his grandma was a sensitive, or
I remember
his
that.
grandma was teaching him how to use his gift. He said he had the gift, so we brought him down there, and that was pretty unique because I remember I was kind of hanging out with him, and we were walking on the path. Which the worst part was we're recording, and it just snowed, so nobody cleared off the path yet. So you're hearing crunch, crunch, crunch.
Yeah, that's the rough part.
But then he stopped and said, oh man, something came from over there. He goes from across the lake. And I go, well, it's a river, which I didn't know spirits couldn't cross a river. But to me, I'm not even sure that's even a thing. A lot of people used to say that. And he goes, well, whatever it is, something came to me. He says, it wasn't being threatening. It was just telling me that I'm not supposed to be here. I remember him telling me that.
Like him personally, or like
it was like he came right up to him and said, you're not supposed to be here. Like that.
Wow.
So that was interesting. And I don't know him very well. So I'm like taking it all in, and I'll figure it out later. But he didn't seem to be full of it.
No, I didn't get that vibe from him. From when I did hang out with him, he's a pretty straight shooter. He was really down to earth. He was a cool dude. If he still lived here, I'd probably talk to him still.
Yeah. And he also said there was a couple guys watching us. They don't like us there.
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
You guys were biased when
we were separated quite a bit that night.
I remember us being down by the bench, which is north of the door. It's just to make sure people understand that. We were asking them to make a noise. That was me. I said, could you break a branch, make a noise, do something like that? And that we didn't hear anything. Nothing happened. We got up, we decided to go down by the door. we went to the door. Now, the path takes us all the way down there. We were down by the door. We did our thing. I don't think we got anything really down there. Not, initially at least. We left there. We're coming back, and I don't even think we were much on the path for more than 20 steps, and about 30 yards ahead of us, I think it was Ryan that said, "What is that?" And he's pointing. And we went all the way up close to where the entrances of the benches are. And there's a tree there, and the branches, 2 branches, and it was about 4 feet high.
Yeah.
And they were in a cross. They were X'd.
Yeah, they were like X'd on the ground like this.
Yeah. So you guys all took it aside as, I think we need to go.
Yeah, it was odd because
I did take a picture. I'll post that on Facebook.
but you can see our footprints in the picture. We would have stepped on the sticks.
Yeah.
The branches.
Yeah. To explain that on the way down, we would have seen this thing because it was literally
We've walked past it
Like-
twice.
On the
maybe,
path.
maybe 3 feet at the most off the path where we just walked by.
And we at some points we were walking 4 wide. And so
Yeah.
we weren't on the path. And you can see our footprints go through there. And we're like, we definitely would have either tripped over this, seen it, or stepped on it.
And I remember going down there for years after that and taking a picture up in the tree where the branches broke down.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get my head around.
It's just weird
It
how
was
they were
too
sitting.
weird.
Yeah.
It was just huge. It was like them saying, "Yeah, I got your message. Here it is. Please go."
Yeah.
So that was a fun night.
We had a lot of fun down there.
Yeah.
It was never a chore to go down there. If we were going down there, we were, well, how late do we want to go?
Yeah. Well, what time?
3,
Yeah.
4,
Oh, yeah. Then we'd get in the car.
and we'd listen to it.
We'd plug in the recorder and just drive around the neighborhood with it cranked up. I'm sure.
People probably love that.
Yeah. What the?
Our version of the paranormal podcast was our recorders playing loud in the car.
So we wouldn't miss anything. Yeah.
It's fun to look back on that. During that time, we could bring up some things that happened at the Ramsey house.
Yeah.
While we were investigating down there, we were down there so much, and we had just started, I think we were going to the Grant houses when we were living in the Ramsey house, correct?
Yes. That's
Yes.
where we got
Yep.
started.
So now, not only were we going to the river every chance we got, but anytime Todd or one of the owners that your friends that owned it would say, "Hey, what are you guys doing this weekend?" We'd make the trip and we'd be there.
Yeah, he was really nice about it. He would say, "You can come down here for free if you spent the night. Why don't you bring your own blankets and sleeping bag?" He said, "Put them on top of the bed. Just don't sleep in the sheets." We
Right.
get all done. We'd make the bed back up nice and smooth it out, and he'd be fine with that.
Yeah, we'll go in. I think we'll wait for Ryan to come back and we'll go in
On
on
the
depth on
Grant
the
house?
Grant house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I also think I'm gonna go. I haven't talked to them guys in a while, but we're still friends on Facebook and stuff. But I would love to go up there. And a guy I still work with knows him, and he said he would. I said I should go ask him if he'd want to do an interview
That'd be fun to kind of reminisce on.
because
it
he
with
had his
those
own
guys.
stories that were pretty cool about what happened up there. And so he goes, "Yeah, he'd love that." So I think I'm gonna see if I can connect with Duddy and his dad.
So if we can work it out to when Ryan gets home, we'll do a deeper dive into the Grant house.
Yeah, at least I'll get that interview out of the way so it's ready to go.
But while we were investigating double time at that point. We were going, if we weren't able to go to the Grant house, we were going to the river to test new equipment to use at the Grant house.
Which was all. I remember my first homemade spirit box. It was like a Radio Hack Shack, which Radio Shack's not even around anymore.
Yeah. Do you remember what'd you call it? It was like the devil's box.
Oh,
It was like a box with all mirrors on the inside.
Yeah, I was watching too much of the crap on TV.
There wasn't much.
It was supposed to be the spirit gets trapped inside, blah, blah, blah.
Is it thrown away or do you still have it?
Oh, I'm sure I threw it away. Okay, I'm not sure if I threw it away. It could be.
You throw it away?
Yeah. Could be.
It could be
Could be
somewhere in
somewhere.
pieces. It very well could be.
In the
somewhere.
dark hole.
Yeah.
No, actually, probably down
In the
here.
other dark hole.
Yeah, the other hole. Yeah, we got a lot of black holes here.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have all the equipment at the Ramsey house, but we did have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I think Nicole had one.
They did.
And that's that was actually your first real paranormal
That was,
experience.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
always thought the other one was at Rolling Hills, but realistically, this is the first time.
Well, Rolling Hills was our first on purpose one.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. We were just sitting downstairs. And at this time, I think TJ said he's already seen him a couple times. You've seen this. You were talking about seeing shadow figures and
Yeah, I don't know what it was something. It's always seemed to be out of the corner of my eye, except for a few times. But I always seem to see some sort of shadow dart. Usually I think it's Luke going down to my room for some reason, or I have to go check it out and go, what the hell was that? And there's been a couple of times it was not out of the corner of my eye. But it was almost more verified when she brings something up, because she was not into it
Nope.
with us at all.
no, she
Not at
was
all.
going about her business, listening to our stories, and she would hear the recorders and go, yeah, that's really cool. And she'd move on with her life.
Yep.
And we were sitting watching TV, and I was sitting facing the TV, and she was facing from a different angle in front of me.
Yeah.
Stairs going upstairs
To
to
the right.
bedrooms.
Yep.
It was right to my left.
Yep. And my
You're
right.
And you were looking at me. We were talking about whatever's on TV. I don't know what we were talking about. But all of a sudden, I seen you do a double take on something upstairs.
My eye.
I'm like, what? And you were like, nothing. I go, and then more she said nothing, it even seemed more suspicious. I'm like, what? Nothing. No, what did you see? Now I'm like really dragging this out. I'm like, what did you see? What made you do that? Well, you'll make a big deal out of it. I said, now I have to know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
wanna-
I know. And I just saw a head of, it was definitely a male head peeking out of, I believe it was Vance's bedroom.
Yeah, which we thought, it's said at one time.
That'll tie into some of our stories that we got coming up, dreams and stuff with man.
Oh, yeah. Vance had, you remember, you and I went in the room and we were like trying to see if something was good. He said something was in his closet.
In his
with red
closet.
eyes.
Yep,
Remember
I do
that?
remember that.
Yeah. I remember that.
Says something in his closet with red eyes.
He was young.
He was
It's not,
toddler.
I don't
too.
believe he was,
No, I think he was like 4 or 5.
Oh, he might have been.
He was a
So
little bigger. He was
Maybe
a toddler in the townhome.
Yeah, he might have been.
I give him a 4, I think it was when we first, yeah.
I know he was little.
Yeah. And I remember we were sitting in there and we were talking. You're not allowed to show your face. If you're in here, you're not allowed to show yourself to him. You're not allowed to do anything. But that was the last time I think we've heard him say anything that he sees something down
In
So,
his room.
yeah, I don't know if that helped at all. I hope it did. I think you take ownership. Usually that helps. I say, this is my house, not yours. You're not allowed here.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to show yourself to him. You're not allowed to scare him.
Well, so where did it go after you saw the head poke out? Did you
Went back
continue?
in.
Not the shadow, but the conversation. You just
Oh.
drop it?
I think, I don't remember.
Because it was like, oh, I seen this head poking out, and then I thought that was so weird.
I mean, you ask questions. You're like, what does it look like? Which room? I think you went up there to
I
look.
definitely went up there to look around. That was yeah, weird. I think it just faded away and I was like puzzling, thinking maybe she saw something. It's the first time that was like the first time I think we had something there. And then we were going to Christmas. Luke was in the car. Vance was in the car in his car seat. That's how young he was. And I had, I think, my cheesy potatoes. I think you had the last few gifts. And I'm putting on my shoes, no handed. And you started yelling, Luke's in the car. Luke's in the car. I said, yeah, Luke's in the car. And you go, Luke's in the car. It was like,
Well, you're like, yeah, good job. I know. And I was like, no, fuck you. Luke's in the car. What did I see down here?
you just turned 18, so now you can swear in front of me for some reason. There's a magic
It
number.
was before 18.
Everybody thinks.
That was like, yeah, it was like, Luke's in the car. I go, yeah, Luke's in the car. And then what the fuck was that you said? And I hope it didn't mean to, but that's what he said.
It's fine.
And I stopped and went, okay, what he just described is what you
I saw.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I set everything down. I said, okay, are you here making noise? Of course, I heard a slight noise, but it was so slight. I mean, if you got quiet anywhere, you'd probably hear this noise. I don't know.
I think I so thought that was Luke that I saw. I even yelled his name. And then I brought the gifts out to the car. I was like, you better get in the car. Dad's going to be pissed or something like
Yeah.
that. I went out and put the gifts in the car and realized he was already sitting in there. And that's when I came back and I was, Luke's in the car.
Yeah, that's your brain. It's funny that, it sounds funny, but that is your brain trying to wrap your head around when we don't see
It
something
was
that does
just like,
big.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I
So
just yelled at you.
So I set everything down. I said, okay, if you're here, we're going to Christmas at my mom and dad's. If you don't mean us any harm, you're more than welcome to join us. And you look at me like, what are you saying? I don't care. We'll leave them there.
Get out of our house. Don't join us. Well, aside from the shadow figures, I mean, I was kind of seeing them all the time. There were some times where, like I was saying, so when you walked into the house, there's stairs that go down, and then there was Luke's room, a little living room, and a bathroom.
Yeah, it was a 4-level home.
Then there was another set of stairs that went down to the basement where my room was. And there's so many times that I would see something go from the bathroom, which we called me and Luke's bathroom.
Right.
And it would go across, not dart or nothing. It's like solid. It would go across and go down the stairs. And I was like, why is Luke going down to my room? And then I'd go down there and I'd open Luke's door and he'd be in his room gaming or whatever. And I was like, well, what the hell? So then I'd go down to my room and I'd just go down there like, well, okay, well, I definitely saw something come down here. So what the hell? And that kind of just ties in. Well, do you want to get into some of our dreams?
Well, the only dream I had, if we're going to talk about
I had a reoccurring dream that it really freaked me out. So before I had kids and I was younger and lived at home, I was pretty close with Vance. I would watch him anytime I could, and I was hanging out with Vance. And so he was important to me. And the shadow in his room kind of ties in with freaking me out maybe, but I had this reoccurring dream for months. I probably had it maybe 5-6 times a month, and it was exactly the same dream every time. So what would happen is, and this isn't a dream, I always shut my walk-in closet door, light off, shut the door. I can't sleep with the light on or the door open. I would always get woken up with that door open and the light would flick on and wake me up.
Was the light in your room or in the closet?
In the closet.
I don't remember, but yeah.
There was a light in the walk-in closet, and there's a light in my room. The light to the walk-in closet would turn on, and it would wake me up because my bed's right next to it.
That's crazy.
So I'd get up, I'd turn it off, I'd shut the door, and I go, what? I'd literally sometimes I'd just be like, get out of here. And then I'd lay back down. But then there were other nights I would call it a nightmare. It wasn't like a horror movie scary, but I'd be in my room doing something, and then all of a sudden something would fly across my room. And I go, what the hell was that? And then something else would fly across my room, and then shit would just start flying around my room like some presence is moving, like throwing shit at me.
Yeah, all in your dream.
Yeah, in my dream. And then in my dream, I'd sprint out of the room. I'd go up to the second level from the basement, and I'd go out the patio door.
Right.
And to the backyard, and I'd run to my window and look in my room. And every time I got to the window, I'd look in my room and I'd see Vance sitting in my room. As he was like 5 or 6 in my dream, but I think that was his age at the time.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
He was in the middle of my room, like just zoned out, like he didn't even realize what was going on, and all this stuff is flying around him in the room. And I basically spend the rest of my dream trying to get back in the house and back downstairs to get him out. And I have never finished that dream of getting him out.
That's frustrating.
Drove me nuts. That was
Wow.
I have chills every time I talk about that dream.
Yeah, I told you I had similar.
Yeah.
It was different, but I still have them even when I was living here, where same thing, where Vance was upstairs somewhere and we had to coax him downstairs because we couldn't just go up and take him for some reason. It had to be his idea. I remember this wasn't a house we didn't even live in. It was like a small rambler house.
Okay.
And he would come down. I said, hey, let's go get some ice cream or something. You want to come down just to get him out of the house? And which was silly because he doesn't really like ice cream. We got him out there and said, oh, great, he's coming. And I turned around to look at the car. And then I turned around to look back at the house. The door slammed and something was laughing. And he was back upstairs again. I think. I don't know. You're sure it wasn't sneeze.
Get out of him. Get out of him.
It was just the same kind of a thing where
Yeah, in my dream,
maybe
he's
we're just
sitting there
worried
like
about him. I don't know.
he was sitting there like unaware of what was going on, and it was like I'm knocking on this window, I'm trying to get him to come out, and now I got to go back in there to get him out, and he just wouldn't move.
Oh,
There's one dream I had that had something to do with actually going down to the river. It was the first time we went down there. I remember going down to the door. That's all I've heard was the tunnels. I go, oh, hey, here's the doors to the tunnels. And I thought it was cool. And I knocked on it for fun, whatever. Then we got back on our bikes and we rode home. But that night I had this weird dream that I was in a chair strapped down. And there was a nurse and a doctor and they were laughing and they were injecting me with needles underneath my fingernails. It was all kind of like in black and white, almost like Twilight Zone style. And they were like wearing like the big collars and stuff like they did in the 50s and 40s. It was just, I don't know, a real Rob Serling kind of that's from the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
For you kids that don't know that. The original.
I'm really curious now when Vance gets home to ask him if he remembers anything when he was that young.
No, I've asked him.
You've
I
asked
don't
him?
question-
Okay.
Well, I asked him about when we were watching the Vikings game that one time.
Yep.
I don't know how many stories you want to tell, but I actually wrote this in when Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis were on the radio. I really enjoyed that show. That was my favorite. I've learned more about watching that. I got them almost all recorded.
Darkness Radio, right?
Darkness Radio, yep. And they would say, send in a story. And I thought it was cool. So I wrote down the story of Vance because this was actually true. We were sitting watching the Vikings. Nobody was home. You guys were at your mom's at the time. Nicole was working, and it was just me and Vance. So it was like, maybe 1 o'clock. We're watching the game. Vance is sitting in my lap, and he starts talking about a scary monster coming into the room up by the chandelier. And I was just teasing him. I said, well, if you don't like them, you just tell them to go straight away. And like Buck from Dinosaurs, which Annie and Dawn of the Dinosaurs, I think it was that Ice Age.
Ice Age.
Thanks, sound guy. And he said whatever it was going around there. And I would like to read the story again, but I don't have it right now. And one of the lights went out on the chandelier. Now there was 6 lights on there. One was already out. I think the rule is you can wait till 3 are up before you have to go up there and change them. So one was out, and then all of a sudden another one went out. And he said, well, it was gone, but it didn't. And it went away. He said, it's gone now. And then we're sitting down there. I said, okay. And I didn't really think nothing of it. And he said, it's back again. And I looked back there. I said, hey, if you're going to, I'm just trying to make light of it. And I said, if you're going to hang around here, at least fix the light that you knocked out. And then I turned around and Vance is still staring at the light. So I turned back to see what he was looking at. And all the lights were off now. And it kind of freaked me out. So I sat there with him with me watching the game, but I couldn't even tell you who had the ball. The hair on my arms are standing up now. Okay. So I finally got up. I wouldn't let go of Vance. I just kept him with me, went over to the lights, and I turned it on there, and they all turned back on except for the 2 that were out. One that was originally out and the one that went out. Maybe it's just something trying to get our attention. That's what I think. I don't think it was malicious, but.
And Vance was calm through the whole thing? Like he just was
and
normal?
I asked him maybe 5 years later if he remembers it. And I didn't give him any details. I said, do you remember anything like that? He said, no. And I said, okay. And I dropped it right there. I don't need him conjuring up his own thoughts
Right.
and having nightmares or whatever.
Well, and he's pretty good at remembering things
Oh, yeah.
from the past, like very specific
Dates.
things.
Dates from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was April 3rd.
Yeah, he's really good at that. So, wow, I remember that. I remember that story. That was right away when I got home from work. You told me that story. So I have an experience of my own, probably my very first experience with the paranormal, questionable things is in the Ramsey house. We were in the garage. I think we got home from maybe grocery shopping, I think.
It was, just running errands.
Yeah. And you got out of the car or the van. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I'm just sitting there. And all of a sudden I smell very distinct cigarette smoke. We don't smoke. And I knew right away it was my grandpa, which my grandpa's been passed away for close to 40 years.
Right.
And he rolled his own cigarettes. He made his own cigarettes, rolled them up. And that is what I smelled.
Yeah, it's a
very distinct
it's nothing
tobacco
like a regular
smell.
one.
And I just sat there and and you're like, what? Like, what? And I'm like, I smell my grandpa. Like my grandpa was in the garage in there with us. It was just, I just knew he was with me for some reason that day, that time. And that was it. It was very quick. I've never smelt it again, but it was just that moment, that time he was with, and it was that smell.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't smell anything.
Nothing.
And I'm like, running around sniffing. And I actually got out thinking, well, maybe somebody's burning leaves because that's a very distinct smell too. And I walked around. I didn't notice anything. I couldn't smell anything. So yeah, that was your grandpa just probably saying, I'm with you.
I'm right here taking care of you.
Well, it's just odd too that you knew for sure that was your grandpa, and at that time you weren't really into
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
No.
So you being so definitive, but never even on that side of the fence yet, speaks more to it even.
Yeah, I agree. I agree to that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I think we got time for one more story.
I have one more, and I have one more that we wanted to bring up, and I still to this day don't really know what to make of it. But this was when we were frequenting the Grant House and the river probably more so than ever. It felt like we were doing one or the other every weekend.
Oh yeah. For a while there, I'd say year and a half, it was again like 6 to 8 times a month.
Yeah, and this one was significant because I didn't always go back to the Ramsey house with you.
Right.
There was a lot of times you'd pick me up from Mom's down, a couple of miles away, and you would drop me back off at Mom's after. And so this didn't even happen at the Ramsey house. This happened at my mom's house, which I've never had anything happen there ever. And I was sleeping in my room downstairs, and I had the TV. I usually had the TV on or something going, and I get woken up with like a jab in my rib, like a sharp pain in my rib. And I open my eyes real quick, and there is, I don't know if you want to call it an apparition or what. I see what looks like a kid that looks kind of like that's actually standing in my room, and it was like he was pulling his arm away, like he just jabbed me in the rib to wake me up. And I'm staring at him. I'm looking right at him.
How solid was he?
He was blocking TV light, but I could see it through him a little bit.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
But it was probably waist up. I don't remember seeing his legs.
Okay.
Waist up. I could see like a glow of the TV, but I could definitely tell he was blocking it. And I'm sitting there like, you do the rationalization. I sit up in my bed and I'm like, wow, what the hell was that? And I'm like staring at him. I'm looking. I don't want to look away because I want to figure out what I'm looking at. So I sit up for a bit and I just stare. And he just kind of looked like he just kind of backed away, maybe a couple of feet from me, and just stood there and stared at me. And then I was like, okay, I'm definitely not sleeping. I'm not dreaming this. And because I sat all the way up like this, like looking at it. And so I was like, all right, that's it. I'm turning the light on. So I get up, turn the light on, gone as soon as I got up. I never saw it again, never happened again. And I didn't even know what to think of it. And I don't know. I think I told you, but not right away about this. And
I didn't know what to make of it, so I kind of just pushed it off.
Well,
it's fun listening to the story again now because you're actually telling me either I'm actually hearing your details finally, or you're giving it more details in their story.
Maybe I learned to tell it better. I don't know.
Man, that could be.
But the next day, I actually had a small circle bruise on my rib where I felt the jab like that woke me up. So I still don't know what to make of that.
And that was the only experience, that one time?
Never had anything happen before. That's the only time in my life I've actually seen an apparition like that clear.
Makes you wonder, what did he want? Did he just want to say hi? Did he want to say, hey, I'm here?
I don't know. There's been so many things that crossed my mind because that was about the same time I kept having dreams of seeing Vance in my room. This kid kind of looked like Vance. I'm like, I'm trying to go back and I'm like wishing I had the dream again because I could verify it's Vance in my room and not this kid that I'm looking at.
I'm going to say it's not Vance, Rose. You would have recognized your brother right off. I would think you'd recognize your brother.
Well, the emotions I have in the dream is it's Vance. I got to get in there and get him out.
Oh, yeah, that part. Yes, I'm talking about the little boy in your room.
No, it wasn't Vance.
Okay.
It was same age. I feel like it had the same, before his hair got super curly, but it was dark brownish and a little bit wavy. The kid looked just like him at that age. It really weirded me out, and I didn't know what to make of it. And I've never had something like that happen since.
I like that story. I'm glad you retold it.
I've never heard that story. So yeah.
Well, if I don't know, if I could prove it or if I could make sense of it or something, I maybe would have told more people it. But I told him because obviously we're having dreams at the same time, and it was just a weird thing that happened. But yeah, I can't, like we said, we're not here to prove things to people, but it happened to me. I don't know how to prove it to anybody, but it is weird.
It's your experience.
So
yeah, that's all we're doing here. I really don't want to get into the argument about what we're seeing. Just telling everybody, this is what we experience. This is how we take it.
Right.
And I'm not trying to prove it to anybody that what's going on out there. I talked about this earlier with a guy I work with, and I was telling him about a couple of stories that we had, and he's really afraid of all this stuff. And I just said, I don't like telling people what I think everything is. All I say is something's going on.
Yeah.
Something's definitely going on, whether it's our own minds or whatever it is, something's making a flashlight go on when you ask it to. Could be us or it could be something else.
Yeah, as long as you don't set the connector right on the edge.
Oh, that's not what happened at the Grant house.
Yeah, I know.
When you got a flashlight sitting on a counter we were in that room for like 7-8 minutes, and you say, hey, instead of messing with me or my camera, why don't you go turn on the flashlight? And it goes on the second after you say it. That's not a coincidence. But we will definitely get into that Grant House later.
Yeah, lots of stories at the Grant House as well.
Yeah, love
Some of them might get repeated even from this one, just because it ties into the same time frame. But
Yeah, whenever we could, we go to the Grant House. It was like our first out of,
not outside investigation.
yeah. Yeah, I would never take away, going to these buildings are fun, but I really enjoyed the down by the river because, what I've always said, you open up the land opens up to you, things start happening.
Yeah.
Because we were going down there so often, I think that's what was going on. It was just opening up to us. Hey, it's these guys again. You know these guys. So we should, we're not going to rate. We usually rank or rate the place we went to. It's kind of hard to do because first of all, there's new buildings pretty close to where we were investigating.
Yeah, and to be fair, we didn't actually go. We never have actually been in the Anoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the buildings.
So we could rank a park feeling for you, and I mean there was definitely.
I'd give it a 10 all the way around just because it was free.
Yeah, there's that.
We had experiences and it was free, and we enjoyed ourselves. We had fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'd take that over anything you got to pay for. So,
Well, since we're not doing a ranking, we could jump into the tip of the month.
yeah, which I'd say is part of the rankings. Actually, I'd say the tip is where you're going somewhere. Make sure you know where you're going. What are they offering? Some people just have a coffee maker and you're good to go and bring your own cooler. Some people have a refrigerator, a pizza maker. There's a store open up till midnight around the corner, somewhere just in the middle of nowhere. So you better be fully prepared for what you got going on. Make sure you got all your batteries. Make sure you got extra batteries. Make sure you got food.
Yeah, know if they have sleeping arrangements.
Right. You don't want to get somewhere and they
go.
go, well, you're either sleeping on the floor, you got to get your cot, either bring a cot, know where they have you to sleep for the night.
Are there restaurants nearby? Is there gas stations? Is there access to anything if you guys need to leave and get something?
Right. That's always nice to know. Like Edinburgh, love Edinburgh, but it's in the middle of nowhere. You're not going anywhere. There's no reason to leave. They got a nice Casey's down the street where you can go get pizza at 10:30 at night when you're bored.
Yeah. Or, even inside the building itself, is there power? Is there running water? Is there a bathroom? Any of that?
Yeah. Can you shower the next day if you would like?
Yeah. Showering I usually just cross off the list. I'm not.
Yeah.
Especially for going home.
Yeah.
If you're just going home, I'll shower when I get home. Yeah, that is the
Day.
tip of the day. Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Stop drinking.
We're gonna sit down every day for 4 minutes.
Sure, your wife would like that.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for this episode. On next episode, we will be talking about SK Pierce Mansion and the interview with my youngest son, Vance, and his scratch that happened in the closet.
Yeah, and thank you for watching. Go follow and look at the socials, Facebook, Instagram. We're North Metro Paranormal. You can check out everything we're doing and where we're going.
We'll see you in the basement.